I've played Doom for more than I'd like to admit. It's probably in like the 10,000s now. Yeah, it's too much, isn't it? You've probably heard the stories about how it's more installed than Windows, how powerful the super shotgun is. It's a classic. It's probably one of the best ever made. Oh, and the game as well, yeah. But sometimes the sheer size and popularity of the franchise can overshadow looking at it objectively. That's what I'm here for. God, that was a mouthful, wasn't it? There's a couple of prerequisites I need to set up before I go into this. One, this is going to be an order of release date, and two, I'm going to review Doom 3 and Doom 3 BFG Edition separately. I'm going to go through every mainline Doom game and review them based on level design, weapons, enemy variety, and balance. Let's go. Oh, pacing, graphics, and sound design. I forgot about those. This is every Doom game reviewed. No, I'm joking, I could be more in depth on that. Let's go. Level design. Episode 1 is Doom's level design at its peak. Episode 2 is pretty good, but not many people enjoy it. And episode 3 is just, again, I can say more than that. Let's start with episode 1. Episode 1's levels look good. They look like a proper Mars base, or what we would think a Mars base looked like. We don't have them yet, I don't think. They play well. They utilise backtracking well, which I can't say for the rest of the episodes. Sorry about that, I had to clear my throat. And they've got some good progression from level to level. My only complaint is E1M7. That level is really maze-like. Even then though, it looks good and it plays well. Episode 2 tries to slowly introduce the hell aesthetic into the level into the level design. I really enjoyed the look of this episode. Some people don't really talk about that much, but I really like how this episode looks. Yeah, remember what I said about backtracking earlier? Mid to late levels of this episode rely on that way too much. E3M5 or DMOS Labs suffers from this the most. It's the most disorienting thing I've ever seen in any game ever. Well, maybe that's a bit of a stretch, but it took me like 3 or 4 runs to learn the layout properly, which is better than E1M7, which I still can't get to the end to. Without a walkthrough anyway. The progression from level to level seems a bit muddled. E2M2 is common to run out of ammo a lot. E3M3 feels like it should be a starting level, but some other rooms are right ridiculous. Like, what is this room? What is it? Episode 3 is a good finale, but sometimes it's just outright cheap and ridiculous. Like that room where you have to collect keycards to open other doors is... where do I even start with that? If you thought the backtracking was bad in episode 2, episode 3 uses it way too much. Seriously, most of the levels in episode 3 play like a circle because of this, except that maze of teleporters in E3M7. That can sort right off. All of episode 3's levels look pretty good though, I'll give them that. A lot of them are pretty good environmentally, they've got a lot of good attention to detail. Weapons! While Doom's armour is good for the most part, there's some that don't really work with it. Like the chainsaw, for example, is just replaced by the fist when you get the Berserker pack. The fist without the Berserker pack is pretty much useless, and never used a pistol, it's not worth it. Other than that, it's pretty good. There's no real definitive weapon for the job, which I like. It makes you use different weapons and experiment. Shotgun's good for crowd control, taking out strong enemies. Chain gun's also good for crowd control earlier game, but late game is mainly for stun locking the bigger enemies. Rocket launcher you barely get ammo for, but when you do, it's really satisfying to let loose with. Plasma rifle's good late game because you can take down a lot of enemies with it, which is good because there's a lot of enemies in the later episodes. And the BFG? Yes. Very, very, very yes. Enemy variety. You could boil down the enemies to just hit scan projectile melee if you wanted to, but it's a lot deeper than that. Some of them have extra abilities, like the Cacodemon can fly, but it's got a higher pain chance, so it flinches a lot. There's a lot of diversity in the enemies, and it works with the weapons well, because it forces you to change them up a lot. Like the Lost Souls against the rocket launcher. It just don't work, don't try it. My only criticism is there's not enough deviation from the projectiles. You've got like rockets, fireballs, what else? Stuff like the Revenant's Fireball in Doom 2 would be a lot better. It would force you to play differently. Balance! The game's balanced well for the most part, with the exception of some areas in episode 3, and the lack of ammo on E2M2. Look, I know there's a Berserker pack on that map, but that's not an excuse for not having enough ammo. The weapons are introduced slowly and steadily with the... with the enemy... This one line! The weapons are introduced slowly and steadily, with the enemy encounters ramping up to accommodate for it. God, there we go, finally. But if you look for secrets, you can get the earlier weapons quickly, which is good because it rewards people for finding secrets. You'd probably expect me to say that the BFG is overpowered, but it's not, because it uses a lot of ammo, which makes you ration it quite a bit and use the plasma rifle instead. Pacing. Boom 1 is as fast paced as you want to play. You can either steamroll through enemies and take them all down with less health, or play it safely and leave a level with 100 health. It's all up to you how you want to play. There's a couple of rooms that force you to take it slow with like strobe lights and stuff. Oh, I hate that being E1 in 5. But otherwise, nothing's stopping you from either playing it tactically or plowing through the whole game. Graphics. Doom's graphics have actually aged pretty well, if you have texture filter enough, which I later found out. It has a fairly decent colourful art style, which people don't really notice because of all the gore and the killing and the chasing on the D-pad. I'm sorry, I got a bit carried away then. Like, I'm not even joking, you can glance at it quickly and then look away and it'll look photorealistic. Even moving textures, they look pretty real, and that's because it's got a good art style. Art style was sort of dropped recently, so people could pursue hyper-reality. I've only put this last bit here so the reverb doesn't get annoying. Sound design. You don't have a place to talk about sound design. Your mic quality is below average. Look, I try and keep my audio the best I can, but I'm not making money alright. Mics are expensive. Doom's audio is pretty good. It's a little bit low bitrate, but then again, it was released in 1993, so what can you really do about that? Even though they're from stock libraries, they're good at differentiating sound effects. You can hear demons behind the walls and you know what ones they are. It's useful. That's called good game design. Level design. Doom 2 was made by level designers outside of it, so you're not going to see John Romero's level design rules here. Wow, I said that way too quickly, I've just realised. Since Doom 2 is set on Earth, they tried to make more realistic looking, lived-in locations, which they went for the most part pretty well, but there's some locations where it just doesn't work. Who would put an arrow on the floor in the middle of a city? What? Like, look, I know you got to make sacrifices for it to play well, but putting a massive sawed-off arrow on the floor is quite a brute-force way to go about it. Weapons! Most of them are the same as Doom 1, except the legendary super shotgun. Yeah, you've heard the stories about it. You've used it. It's legendary. I've played through entire maps in clusters with this. It's great. It's really good at everything, which kind of makes the other weapons pointless, but you find uses for them. Believe it or not, this isn't the most powerful super shotgun I've actually seen. Posters 2's double barrel shotgun's ridiculous. It does like 2,000 damage or something stupid like that. Enemy variety. Doom 2 adds more enemies, which kind of nullifies the criticism I had against Doom 1. Revenant's fireballs are really good because some of them track you. There's other things, like the pain elementals, that are really annoying, the archvile. If you haven't noticed yet, I'm not a big fan of archviles. From a gameplay side of things though, they're good to... From a gameplay perspective though, they're a success. They're just really annoying. Balance. Same as Doom 1, except the super shotgun kind of throws it off a bit. That's not a bad thing though. The rhythm of the shotgun's kind of boring after a while. It's good to have a counterpart to shake it up, like more damage in exchange for 2 shells instead of 1. I think it's a pretty fair trade, given the legendary status it has now. Pacing. Sorry about that. Pacing. Doom 2 is a lot more slow and methodical compared to Doom 1. You've got to think out strategies and think of a way to counter all the enemies in one room, because there's a lot of creatively placed enemy combinations in some rooms. Near the end of Doom 2, like map 25 onwards, it kind of dragged a bit. I was kind of waiting for it to be over at that point, I'm not gonna lie. Graphics, see Doom 1. Sound design, see Doom 1. Okay, TNT is probably my favourite Doom game, so I'll probably be pretty biased. I'll try and stay as objective as I can though. Level design. TNT has a pretty good level design. It's got some good environmental details. Sometimes it's a bit bland in places, but overall it's pretty good. It's got some good puzzles featuring the movement, which I like. I don't know, most of the other Dooms don't have many puzzles, even Doom 3, so that's kind of cool. It's got that going for it. Overall, TNT's combat areas give you a lot of movement freedom. It gives you a lot of like window to dodge, block, like stuff like that. It's pretty good. It goes for like an alpine aesthetic in its maps in the mountains, which I like a lot. Everything else, see Doom 2. Right, Plutonia is quite a unique one. It's got some new textures, adds to the art style a bit. Way too many chain gunners. Way too many. Level design. Plutonia sticks to the jungle aesthetic pretty well. Most of it's, you can't say in a script, what are you doing? Most of its enemy encounters revolve around giving you certain weapons with certain cover to deal with certain enemies. It's quite a cool concept, I've not seen many games do it. It makes every fight feel unique. This is the game with the archvile maze though. The dreaded archvile maze. And you already know how I feel about archviles. I'm sorry, I had to. Everything else. This is getting repetitive. See Doom 2. Doom 3 was a great game. It was overshadowed by games that released during the Half-Life. That's a reference like 2 people are gonna get. Level design. Given that we're in a fully 3D engine now, Doom 3's level design is really creative and it holds up to this day. The game's depiction of hell is pretty creative and it holds up to this day. Then again, this section isn't really about how it looks, it's how it plays. A lot of Doom's combat areas are either in corridors where you can't move much or in arenas, which kind of makes it easier to predict when they're going to happen. Kind of takes some tension out of the atmosphere if you ask me. You know, given that this game's meant to be spooky. I'm sorry. Okay, a little side note, this is the first video I've edited where I've genuinely laughed while editing it. With that being said, weapons! Think Doom 1 but with a little more kick. It's also got reloading, which people frown upon a little bit, me included. Once you actually play the game, it feels like it fits well. There's no super shotgun though. I'll be right back. I'm just gonna go start rioting the streets.
Well, there's no super shotgun in Doom. We're mad about this and you should be as well for some unspecified reason. It was good in Doom 2.
Right, I'm back now. Enemy variety. See Doom 2. Pacing. Despite the reloading and other survival horror elements, it's actually quite fast paced when you get like the jumping rhythm down. It's a lot of fun actually. It's faster than Doom 2, maybe even Doom 1. But you do take a lot of damage quickly, so don't get too cocky with your movement. Now I think about it, this game would have really benefited from an always run option, because there's no penalty to sprinting at all. There's no cooldown or anything like that. That's in late game it is. In early game it's a nightmare. You're in a lot of dark areas and you have to keep switching between the torch and your weapons. It stops you dead in the tracks. Graphics. The graphics in this game are pretty good. Per pixel lighting and coloured lighting adds to the atmosphere pretty well, given that this is a horror game now. Well, it's about as scary as Doom 1 was, which wasn't really a horror game, but the texture. Just wait for that house alarm to stop. That's really annoying. The textures are kind of blurry on high settings, but the art style's kind of outshined it. Sound design, it's good. It's really good. Weapon sound effects are punchy, crisp and clear. Every sound effect sounds good. The demons are varied. You can hear them behind walls. You can tell what direction they're coming from. It's all good stuff. I'm not gonna lie, I actually forgot about this one. And I actually have a lot to say about it, it just completely slipped my mind when I was recording the voiceovers for this. This one's gonna be out of order, because there's very little to talk about here and I want to talk about it quickly. Enemy variety. This adds one imp-like enemy, which crawls on walls and ceilings and stuff. It's kind of cool, but it gets annoying very quickly. It looks kind of cool though. It works well with like the reflections and stuff in Doom 3. It also adds some bosses. Can you hear that downstairs? That's so loud. It also has some bosses which shakes up the gameplay a bit, which is always nice. I'm always looking for new experiences out of Doom. I've played it so many times. When I say that out loud, I realise how tragic it sounds. Weapons. Boy, gamers. The super shotgun's back. Yeah. Everything else. See Doom 3. No Rest for the Living was an 8-level expansion pack for Doom 2 exclusive to the Xbox 360 port of the game. Well, until Doom 3 BFG Edition. Level design. There's a huge attention to detail in this game. Seriously, the levels in this game are really detailed and every level has a colour palette that it sticks by and it's really appealing and artistic. Meanwhile, the gameplay is pretty good and there's a lot of puzzles, which is always good. There's a lot of really elaborate secrets as well and a lot of good environmental details, which I've already said what am I doing. You're pretty much in action all the time and you get flooded with enemies, which is a really good thing because this because this expansion pack pulls it off right. Oh, there's it, expansion pack, what's it? Oh, I need to get it together. Right, fine, I'll do it normally then. Everything else. See Doom 2. The BFG edition lets you carry a torch and a weapon at the same time. Even though it's a small change, it changes the gameplay dramatically, which is why I'm doing it again. Level design. See Doom 3. Enemy variety. See Doom 3. Balance. Well, the addition of the torch makes it a lot easier because you can fire in the dark instead of fumbling around and getting shot while you're trying to switch to the torch because you always forget what number it's on. Not that I'm talking from personal experience or anything. Nah. Pacing. Now you've got the torch. Combat's a lot faster. You don't have to fumble about, which is a tiny addition, but it makes it as fast-paced as any other Doom game. Graphics. See Doom 3. Sound design. See Doom 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. I'm gonna be honest, when Doom 2016 was announced, I was really worried. I was worried if they would do the series justice, and luckily they did. Doom 2016 is really good. Well, I couldn't get my own gameplay because I played it on console. Oh, I know, I played it on console. I don't have the system specs to play it right now. Don't worry, I'll upgrade in August. Level design. Doom 2016 goes the Doom 3 approach of locking you in an environment and then spawning enemies for you to deal with. But unlike Doom 3, you're actually locked in the room and you can't leave it or escape. You have to take them all down, which encourages combat. That's good. Yeah. Otherwise, the level design, attention to detail is very detailed. It's very good. Levels look really artistic at times. In this game's depiction of it was probably even better than Doom 3's. I didn't breathe through that whole thing. That was mental. Anyway, for the most part, Doom 2016's arsenal's pretty similar to Doom 2's. Guess what? The super shotgun's back! Yes! See, that riot in the streets paid off, even though that was after Doom 2016 released. On top of that, you got the heavy machine gun, the Gauss cannon, one I'm probably forgetting. On top of that, you have customizations which you can unlock with these like field drone things. I can't find any footage of them, I'm sorry. On top of that, you can upgrade weapons even more to make them perform better. The amount of replayability in the weapons is ridiculous, oh my god. Enemy variety. See different. Nah, I'm joking. It's pretty much the same as it's always been, but with some different abilities. For example, the Pinky can only be attacked from behind if they charge you. The Revenants are a bit more aggressive. The Barons are a lot bigger. They can jump and leap at you, which is kind of terrifying if I'm honest, especially in VR. Ooh. The Hellraiser's kind of like the chain gunner, but instead of firing a lot of bullets, they fire a continuous laser, which is telegraph, which makes the chain gunners a lot less annoying if I'm honest. Bless me. The shotguns have a shield, which makes them even more annoying, on the contrary. But it's easy to get around them because you can get them to melee attack and then they lift up their shield. I haven't even talked about the glory kill system yet. In Doom 1, 2 and 3, the stagger was just like a event you could use to like get out of a sticky situation, I guess. But in Doom 2016, you can go right up to them and beat them up. I'm not even joking, it's so cool. You get like health and ammo out of it. If you use a chainsaw, you get loads of it. Wow, this video is well organised, wasn't it? Balance. See Doom 1. Pacing. The glory kills make the combat a lot of pushing forward and being aggressive, which is a really good way to play, which I probably think Doom was intended because it fits like the whole theme very well, with one man conquering hell and stuff. Anyway, I'm going off on a tangent. The pacing is pretty fast, except if you're on low health, which is even faster. I'm sorry. Graphics. This game is beautiful. All the effects in the id Tech 6 engine are absolutely brilliant. They work with the art style of the game really well, and everything looks really hyper-realistic because of the shading and the lighting and the specular maps and all the effects. But you'd think with all the effects and stuff, you know, like in Unreal 4 games, it would overshadow the art style, which it doesn't. It works with it pretty well, actually. Sound design. See Doom 3. But before you see Doom 3, just keep in mind this game's soundtrack is so good. Here, have a listen. Mick Gordon's done the style justice, and he's introduced his own style into it, which is pretty impressive and admirable that he's managed to like pull it off so well. Right, Doom Eternal isn't out yet, so let's just give it like a 26 out of 10, leave it at that. Right, let's check the board. Oh, wait, hang on. Master levels. It's a bit of a mixed bag really, because it's for all different mappers. Some of them are good, a couple of them are a little bit amateurish, I won't say which. Yeah, I'll give it 5 out of 10. Doom 1, 9 out of 10. Doom 2, 7 out of 10. Doom 3, 8 out of 10. TNT, 6 out of 10. Plutonia, 5.75 out of 10. I know it's not a whole number, but just bear with me. Doom 3, Resurrection of Evil, 7.5 out of 10. No Rest for the Living, 8 out of 10. Doom 3 BFG Edition, 9 out of 10. Doom 2016, 10 out of 10. Doom Eternal, 27 out of 10. That last one's a joke. Okay, I'm sorry that the production quality of this dropped off near the end. I was starting to rush. I wanted people to see this, so I was getting impatient. So, ABC,